Respected. If a woman enters your life and instead of shrinking your world, she expands it. If your ego feels challenged but your soul feels calm, then listen carefully, because men don't usually lose women like this by betrayal alone. They lose them by not recognizing their value until silence replaces her presence. There are many women who can make you feel wanted, admired, entertained, or desired. But once in a lifetime, if you are fortunate, a woman enters your life who does something far more dangerous and far more rare. She makes you confront yourself. She doesn't just love you, she sees you. And that kind of woman does not come to decorate your life, she comes to transform it. At first, she doesn't arrive loudly. She doesn't announce her worth. She doesn't compete for attention. She listens more than she speaks. She observes how you treat people when you gain something and how you behave when you lose. She notices your silences, not just your words. She studies your consistency, not your promises, and slowly, without demanding anything, she begins to offer something most people never do: emotional safety. With her, you don't feel the need to perform. You don't have to exaggerate your strength or hide your fears. You can sit in silence and still feel understood. And that's when many men make their first mistake. They confuse comfort with permanence. They assume she will always be there because she is patient. They assume her loyalty means tolerance for neglect. They forget that depth does not mean desperation. This woman doesn't chase chaos. She doesn't romanticize emotional instability. She values clarity, respect, and growth. If she questions you, it's not to control you, it's to understand you. If she challenges you, it's not to dominate you, it's to elevate you. And if she withdraws, it's never impulsive. It's after long nights of reflection where she has already tried to save what you were too distracted to protect. She is not impressed by money alone, nor intimidated by power. She respects ambition but demands integrity. She is attracted to strength, but only the kind that can admit weakness without collapsing. And the dangerous part is this: she makes you want to be better, not because she demands it, but because disappointing her feels like betraying your own potential. Men often think they lose women because of arguments, misunderstandings, or external interference. But women like this are not pushed away by one mistake. They leave when they realize they are doing emotional labor for someone who is comfortable staying the same. They leave when they feel more alone with you than without you. They leave when your words are beautiful, but your actions are lazy. When a woman like this loves you, she doesn't drain you, she grounds you. She reminds you who you are when the world confuses you. She celebrates your wins quietly and supports your losses without humiliating you. She protects your image in rooms you're not present in. And still, she expects something very simple in return: effort that matches intention. The tragedy is that many men only recognize her value after she has emotionally detached. When her questions stop, when her reminders disappear, when her eyes no longer search your face for reassurance. By then, she hasn't become cold, she has become clear, and clarity is irreversible. If you are listening to this, and a woman like this is currently in your life, understand this deeply: she is not replaceable. Not because she is perfect, but because the way she loves requires courage, self-awareness, and maturity. And if you don't rise to meet that, someone else eventually will. This is only the beginning of the truth you need to hear. She doesn't leave suddenly. That's the part most people misunderstand. A woman like this gives many chances, not because she is weak, but because she believes in growth. She believes that people can evolve if they are willing to look at themselves honestly. She hopes that love will inspire responsibility. And for a long time, she stays in conversations you stopped taking seriously. She communicates when something hurts her, calmly at first, respectfully. She explains instead of accusing. She waits instead of reacting. She chooses patience over drama. And every time she speaks, she is silently checking one thing: does he hear me, or is he only listening to reply? Because for her, being heard is not about agreement, it's about effort. But when she notices a pattern, not a mistake, something inside her begins to shift. When apologies are repeated but behavior stays the same, when she feels like she has to teach emotional basics to someone who benefits from her emotional intelligence, when she feels like her standards are slowly being negotiated down just to keep the peace, that's when love starts to feel heavy instead of safe. She begins to ask herself difficult questions. Why am I explaining respect to someone who claims to love me? Why am I fighting for consistency when consistency should be natural? Why am I shrinking my expectations so someone else can stay comfortable? And these questions are not loud, they are internal. But once they start, they don't stop. This woman values alignment more than attachment. She understands that chemistry without character eventually becomes chaos. She knows that attraction without effort becomes resentment. And she refuses to become bitter just to stay connected. So she observes you more closely now, not to criticize but to decide. She notices whether you take accountability without being pushed, whether you protect the relationship when it's inconvenient, whether you grow when confronted or become defensive, whether you see her emotional needs as a burden or as a responsibility you chose when you chose her. And here is the truth most men are not prepared to hear. She doesn't need you. She wants you. She is whole on her own. She has a life, values, and self-respect that existed long before you. You are not her center. You are her choice. And the moment she feels like that choice is one-sided, she starts preparing to walk away. She becomes quieter, not colder. Her energy shifts because she is conserving it. She stops explaining herself because she has already done it enough times. She stops reacting because reactions feed false hope. And you may mistake this calm for peace, but it is actually acceptance. And acceptance means the end is closer than you think. When she finally leaves, she doesn't come back confused. She doesn't return to test the waters. She doesn't seek closure conversations. Because closure for her happened long before the goodbye. It happened in every moment she felt unseen, every time she chose understanding over being understood, every time she gave grace where accountability was required. And that's when regret hits, not because she is gone, but because you realize the kind of woman who leaves quietly is the kind who loved deeply. She didn't threaten to leave. She didn't manipulate. She didn't punish you with silence. She simply reached a point where staying would mean betraying herself. If you are hearing this and thinking of someone who slowly disappeared from your life, understand this: she didn't disappear. She detached. And detachment is what happens when love meets emotional exhaustion. This part of the story isn't meant to shame you. It's meant to wake you up. Because if a woman like this is still with you, still speaking, still trying, then the story is not over yet. A woman like this does not ask for perfection. She asks for presence. She does not expect you to have all the answers, but she expects you to care enough to look for them. She understands that life is messy, that people struggle, that healing is not linear. What she cannot tolerate is indifference disguised as business or emotional absence justified by stress. When she loves you, she pays attention to the small things. The tone of your voice when you're irritated. The way you withdraw when you feel inadequate. The moments you choose distraction over connection. She notices because she is invested. An investment makes her vulnerable. That vulnerability is not a weakness. It is a risk she takes because she believes intimacy should be honest. She wants partnership, not parenting. She wants to walk beside you, not pull you forward. The moment she feels like she is carrying the emotional weight of the relationship alone, something inside her begins to resist, not aggressively, quietly. Because deep down she knows that love should feel like shared responsibility, not emotional survival. She challenges you in ways that feel uncomfortable at first. She asks you to reflect, to self-correct, to grow beyond old patterns. And growth for many men feels like criticism when it's actually an invitation. An invitation to become emotionally available, to communicate without defensiveness, to lead with integrity instead of control. This is where many men sabotage what they have. Instead of leaning in, they pull away. Instead of listening, they justify. Instead of evolving, they accuse her of being too sensitive, too demanding, too complicated. And every time you minimize her experience, you create distance. Because she is not asking for intensity, she is asking for consistency. She believes love is built in everyday choices, showing up when it's boring, speaking honestly when it's uncomfortable, being reliable when no one is watching. She doesn't need grand gestures if the basics are missing. A future means nothing to her if the present feels lonely. And understand this carefully. When she sets boundaries, it is not to control you. It is to protect herself. Boundaries are what emotionally intelligent people use when they refuse to abandon themselves for connection. If she says something is unacceptable, she means it. And if you cross that line repeatedly, she will not fight you forever. She will remove herself. When she leaves, she does not carry anger. She carries clarity. She does not speak badly about you. She does not try to prove her worth. She simply redirects her energy towards spaces where effort is mutual. And that's why losing her feels different. Because you didn't lose noise, you lost stability. You lost depth. You lost someone who would have stood by you if you had stood with her. If you still have her in your life, understand this is not about fear. It's about responsibility. Loving a woman like this requires maturity. It requires emotional leadership. It requires the courage to be accountable without being asked. And if you are willing to do that, if you are willing to grow instead of defend, to show up instead of disappear, then what you have is not just a relationship, it is a rare alliance. There comes a moment when you must decide who you are going to be in her life. Not through promises, but through patterns. Not through intention, but through behavior. Because a woman like this does not listen to potential. She watches consistency. She doesn't ask where this is going. She asks how this feels right now. She understands that love without safety becomes anxiety. That attraction without trust becomes insecurity. That words without action become noise. So she measures love in presence, in reliability, in emotional availability. She wants to know that when life becomes heavy, you won't disappear. That when conflict arises, you won't punish her with silence. That when she is vulnerable, you won't weaponize her honesty. If she commits to you, she commits deeply. She doesn't keep backups. She doesn't flirt with escape routes. She invests fully because she expects the same. And when that expectation is not met, she doesn't become bitter. She becomes honest with herself. She accepts what is instead of clinging to what could have been. This is why she is selective, not because she thinks she is better than others, but because she knows what it costs to love well. Emotional intimacy requires effort, patience, and self-awareness. She is not afraid of being alone. She is afraid of being with someone who makes her feel alone. If she chooses you, it means she sees potential and character, but potential alone will not keep her. She needs to see movement, growth, accountability. She needs to feel that her presence in your life is valued, not taken for granted. That her emotional labor is recognized, not assumed. And here is the final truth you must sit with. A woman like this will not beg to be chosen. She will not compete for attention. She will not lower her standards to fit your comfort zone. She would rather walk away with dignity than stay and slowly lose herself. So if she is still beside you, still offering you her heart, her patience, her understanding, consider that a privilege. Because the world is full of people who want love, but very few know how to give it in a way that heals instead of wounds. Do not wait until her absence teaches you what her presence was worth. Do not wait until someone else recognizes the value you overlooked. Choose now, show up now, grow now. Because if a woman like this enters your life and you have the courage to meet her where she stands, you won't just keep her. You will become a better man because of her. If you take one thing from this message, let it be this: love is not proven by how intensely you feel in the beginning, but by how responsibly you show up in the middle. When excitement fades and routine settles in, that is where character is revealed. That is where a woman like this watches quietly, not to judge you, but to decide whether you are safe to build a life with. She does not want perfection. She wants truth. She does not want control. She wants consistency. She does not want a man who says the right things when she is upset, but one who lives those values when no one is watching. And if you can be that man, you will discover that loving her does not cost you your freedom, it refines it. Many men spend their lives searching for passion, for admiration, for validation. But the rarest form of love is the kind that brings peace to your nervous system and clarity to your mind. The kind that challenges you to grow without making you feel small. The kind that feels like home, not a battlefield. That is the love this woman offers. If you have lost her, let the lesson shape you, not harden you. Do not turn regret into resentment. Turn it into responsibility. Become the man who would be worthy of her, even if she never returns. Growth is never wasted, and if she is still in your life, don't wait for a crisis to change. Don't wait for distance to teach you presence. Choose her with your actions every single day, because a woman like this will not stay forever where she is not valued. Remember this: some women come to test you, some come to teach you, but once in a lifetime, one comes to build with you. If you recognize her, honor her. If you have her, protect her. And if a woman like this enters your life, never let her go.